A Lamborghini gets you 10 seconds of conversation. That's what it gets you. You pull up to a club. A girl will be like, is that your car? If I say, oh yeah, it's got 600 horsepower, and when you corner, the G-force goes up to 2.3. She's not sucking my dick. All the Lamborghini gets you is 10 seconds to make that introduction, and you got to be sharp. Yeah. Is that your car? Well, I don't know, but if we get married, it's your car too. So who are you with tonight? Make any stupid opener. That's what's going to get you laid. So yeah, no, money helps within a tiny fraction. It gets you the introductions. It gets you into the places where women are. But unless you're paying for sex, you're not getting laid if you're a boring twat.
So 100% agree with that. Having money just buys you more time at the beginning of an interaction with beautiful women. And in fact, I would say the same about looks and having the sports car and probably even having a big social media following. So how did this guy, Tristan Tate, go from this clip to this next clip?
So this is an actual emergency.
This is the girls you had on the couch here tried to rob you.
Yeah, the 3 girls I had last night tried to rob us, basically.
Holy crap. So they got robbed by the girls that they took home in Odessa, Ukraine. But how could that happen? How could it be that Ukrainian models, to be kind of pretty skeptical, they were catwalk models, more likely the kind of girls that are going to rob a bunch of tourists in Odessa are cam models, i.e. video chat girls, i.e. online kind of doing, I don't know what they do, pornography, sex worker types. But Tristan Tate, tall, jacked like his brother Andrew Tate, large social media following, sports cars, millionaires, and they go to Ukraine and they don't get beautiful, honest women, they get the scammer girls. And what the hell is going on? How is that possible? I think it's a really good example to take, not from the point of view of Schadenfreude, but in terms of being able to learn how things like looks, money, and social media status don't always equate into being more successful with women, especially here in Eastern Europe. Now, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, they're brothers. They have been blowing up on social media over the last few months. They are very controversial, and I think there's a lot that you can learn also from the way that they structure their social media in good ways and in bad. So let's get into the video. Поехали!
Tsar Experience.
So let me start off by dispelling some myths that many foreigners have about coming to countries in Eastern Europe, like say here I'm in Moldova in the capital Chisinau, and an absolutely incredibly humid August afternoon. It is so hot and humid here at the moment. Probably gonna be sweating profusely during the video, but if you think the girls are going to be sweating profusely for you just because you are a Westerner, well, I am very sorry to disappoint you. It is 2022, it is not 1992, because back then, probably it was like that. And I often meet older guys here in Eastern Europe, whether it's Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, or Moldova, who tell me about the good old days, like say 1990s even, or maybe in the early 2000s. They say, oh, it was so great back then because the girls had so little opportunities. They couldn't travel. It was dirt poor here. They were so, I guess, closeted or isolated because there wasn't any Instagram. There was a little bit of internet. That was it. And they were basically desperate and, poor and desperate. And a Western guy showing up was automatic large value, huge value for them to meet. And that's why they were successful. Other guys like that also forget that 20 odd years ago, they were also 20 years younger. They were not 60 or 65, they were 40, 45, and men in general, we tend to peak in terms of our value on the dating market between 35 and 45. So they're also looking back at the good old days with rose-tinted glasses, not realizing they were actually younger. Here, for example, in Chisinau, Moldova, Moldovans have visa-free to Schengen, which is most of the EU, for a long number of years, and actually most of them have Romanian passports, or a lot of the younger ones have Romanian passports, or maybe they even have a Russian passport. So no one is actually really trapped here in Moldova. And nowadays when you walk around, actually the style that you see from the younger women doesn't look that much different to being in Western Europe. People are in general, or women, especially younger women in general, are a lot slimmer. That is one of the biggest differences, as well as being just on average better looking. So you will have better opportunities from that point of view, but don't come here and think that it's going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. You're 30 years too late to that party. So that out of the way, because with the right approach and attitude, you will have an amazing time here, whether it happens to be Ukraine or Belarus or Moldova or Russia, in terms of improving your dating life. But what I always say is things like looks, money, social media status, right, in terms of having lots of followers, they're all great boosters, but you need to have your fundamentals down, which is basically the way you're going to be able to communicate, or what, for want of a better word, how good your game is. And the problem is, if you start to rely on the other things, I don't think looks are going to get you very far, other than 10 seconds really at the beginning of an interaction. When you make an introduction, I have another video on that, how important are looks in Eastern Europe. But money, that is another stereotype, I guess, that Eastern European women, whether it happens to be here in Moldova or in Ukraine, that, yeah, they're all gold diggers and they're after the money. So you'll have lots of chicks coming over to you if they think that you are rich. You will have a certain type of girl for sure come after you if you're rich, and that is the girl who is actually the gold digger, which is not the majority of women here. So, I mean, if you want a gold digger, go knock yourself out. You will have no problem finding them. You probably don't need to watch my channel, watch my videos to end up with gold diggers. But most of my clients, actually all of my clients, they want to avoid the gold diggers. So that's one of the reasons why they invest in, say, living the Czar experience on a weekend here with me. I'll put a link down below in the description if you're interested. Also watch this video from Kharkiv in Ukraine, where some of my clients live the Czar experience, and you'll learn more about it there. So if you are trying to avoid the gold diggers, and I don't know if the Tates are trying to avoid the gold diggers, well, they did get robbed by some of them, obviously, some dodgy Odessa girls, because unfortunately, as much as I love Odessa, Mom, it is full of those kind of girls kind of trying to seek out naive tourists that they can basically take advantage of. You need to do more than just make it rain in the club, be tall, be handsome, be good looking, be extremely wealthy and have the sports car, as actually Tristan acknowledged himself. You need to be able to project and demonstrate a value other than those things if you're more likely to be successful in terms of meeting the non-scammer beautiful girls. Buona! So there we have. See, girls are friendly in Eastern Europe. These are more honest girls. I thought these are the scammer girls. I'm not standing beside a sports car. I don't have a Ferrari with me. We're not at the club at the table. Normally I would actually have a table with clients. So on that weekend that Tristan Tate is talking about, where they had this unfortunate incident, I actually was also present because we were invited to the same birthday party. And, you know, it was cool to hang out, go to the club. I actually picked my favorite club in Odessa. But I noticed that, with the exception of the birthday boy's girlfriend that obviously he knew from before, you know, making it rain at the club, buying 54 bottles of champagne may look great on Instagram for the Tate's followers. Obviously, they've been very successful in building up that massive audience, but it is not actually a very good idea in terms of attracting honest, beautiful women who have lots of options here in Eastern Europe, because basically it's too try hard. And it might look great when attracting young, simpy men or the gold diggers on Instagram, but it is not actually the way to go about it. You need to be a little less, as I said, try hard and trying to prove yourself too much with such flamboyance and, you know, copious consumption. That would have worked, I guess, also a lot better in the 90s and 2000s. It's really just not seen as that cool in 2022 to do that. I did say in my last video about basically why day game is a load of rubbish. Basically only really losers focus on that. What I meant was like these guys who walk around for 6 hours down Hrechatyk, the main thoroughfare in Kyiv, stopping every girl with can lines. That is absolutely atrocious. And what I found, as I outlined that video, is that my clients over the last few years who've done the best in terms of being the beautiful top women with all options to date any guys they really want almost in the world, those guys who were able to do that when they moved here to Eastern Europe or spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe, they focused on social circle. In addition to, obviously, they also had money, reasonably good looks, they went to the gym. And actually social circle and networking in the right group built them more status locally, because being a tourist here on the weekend, it's not really gonna get you that much status. But if you live here and mix in the right social circles, or you come regularly, or you just happen to be in the right crew, hang out with the right kind of people, when you come, like on the Zara Experience, then you will do way better and you will have a lot more access to those kind of women. And of course, on top of that, yeah, you have to be able to interact properly, demonstrate your value, and know how to seduce women. Lots of other videos on my channel. I'll list a few of them down below in the description about how you need to focus on that element. And also I do that with my clients in person or on my programs. Actually, should probably say Slavic Seduction Secrets is my premium course. Also going to drop all those things down below in the description to this video. So go and check those out if you really want to work on yourself in that way. So also in that last video, I outlined about that you really need to be nowadays with social media and dating apps where basically the women are only swiping on the top 20% of male profiles. In fact, most of the women are only really swiping on the top 5%. You need to be in a woman's top 5%, 20%. I could say you need to be a 5% guy, I guess, to get the really beautiful, honest women. You need to be up there. And that's not based on things that necessarily things that Andrew or Tristan Tate actually have, which are obviously looks, height, money, social media status per se. All those things help, of course, but they are not the full deal. So I know I've made it sound like that really, really hard in the sense that, well, if the, someone else is saying hello to me here, that if Tristan and Andrew Tate struggle when they're in places like Odessa, what chance does a guy who's not in that top 1 or 5% or 20%, whatever, have? Well, that's why you need to be focusing on improving your value to women. Basically, if you work on yourself and you have a right strategy, when you, I'm actually going to make a follow-up video about why I think the Tate should have paid me to bring them around Eastern Europe, because a lot of other things that went wrong for them on their trips here. Another good example being what they call geomaxing, like are you going to the right country, the right city? For example, they live in Romania, which, you know, I'm shooting this during the war in Ukraine, so maybe having that Article 5 protection of NATO makes Romania seem a lot more attractive right now, but in general, it is not the place that I recommend to my clients in terms of setting up their lifestyle, in terms of meeting beautiful women or just having a really good time compared to the other options in the region. I want to also give you words of encouragement that if you do focus on applying yourself, building up your value, and working on your interactions with women, having that local knowledge, setting up your social circle, or figuring out how do you get into the right social circles, and doing the things that the Tates already have, like obviously good, strong social media. If that's going to be the same if you're using Tinder, for example, how you set all, you know, how you demonstrate the value in the photos and in the clips. Then you obviously go and you work yourself, and you have reasonable and decent style. You have a decent body. Like, you don't need to be tall and jacked to succeed. It's a bonus, but none of these things are actually, as you see with the experience that the Tates had, really going to be the whole package. Most important thing I always say, and I have another podcast about it, is how you interact with the women yourself and how you project your value. So we're going to finish out with this clip from Andrew Tate on Reshadi complaining about the loser day gamers. Why he cares about the game gamers, I don't know. Those guys walking up and down, they are definitely and basically harassing the women. I did also spoke about that in my last video.
I mean, Ukraine's full of so many dorks. You see them on Twitter all the time, like little fucking nobodies. Hi, I'm in Ukraine and there's sexy girls and gay game. Fucking losers. Ukraine's been tainted by a bunch of losers.
Those guys are not getting the hotties anyways in Kiev, but I think it's hilarious that he's described himself as James Bond. It is so over the top and try hard that, yeah, I think he looks more like the James Bond, according to someone like Jeremy Corbyn, than the author Ian Fleming, if you catch my drift.
I need a James Bond. I was James Bond. I am James Bond, but I'm now the front of James Bond. You understand this?
So in my premium program, Slavic Seduction Secrets, I impart to you what I have learned from over 10 years of dating here in Eastern Europe and several years of coaching my clients, because between me and my clients and other guys who write under my channel, we have made every mistake possible. You want to avoid showing up in Odessa or somewhere else in Eastern Europe and being robbed, or meeting a gold digger, investing emotionally, you know, huge amounts of time, emotions, and money, and it all being basically complete waste and actually completely negative for you. Wouldn't better off obviously never having that experience. At the same time, you will learn things like Slavic mentality, intelligence, exactly how the culture works here, and how you can project your own value to the local girls here and meet the sincere, beautiful women of Eastern Europe, and just basically have an amazing time. Just really avoid all the pitfalls and give yourself the best shot of doing well when you come traveling, whether it happens to be in countries like here in Moldova, obviously Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, also you could say the Baltics. Also with the war in Ukraine, there are a lot of refugees who have gone to Poland and other parts of Europe. So it could also be, if you're not planning a trip right now, actually, you know, you're interested in meeting beautiful women from Eastern Europe, also the Baltics, maybe Kazakhstan, going to be also relatively similar. You will get great value out of that. Anyways, the link is down below in the description to this video.
SAR Experience.